Now, I know we're going to run a little bit out of time here, but I do want to ask you, on the topic of basketball and people sort of arguing back and forth about, not only the Eastern Conference, but the Raptors as a whole on what has happened in the offseason, better or worse, and what does it mean going forward into the fall? Where do the Raptors fit? Do you think that the Raptors, and again, it's like people say, are you better or are you worse? They lose Tucker. But a player like C.J. Miles comes in, which I think is a nice story. Corey Joseph goes out. I'm a little disappointed about that, only because he's a local guy from where I live and he knows a lot of.
Wasn't working out.
It's just, but I know why the move was made. But I still take a look at some things that I find to be difficult. Looking at Jonas Valanciunas. If I'm Jonas Valanciunas, I'm going, I don't know, why am I on this team? I think there probably is a place for him in the NBA. I just don't think it's with the Raptors, and I don't know how interested the Raptors. Like we talk about. James, who went to Miami.
James Johnson, who just got $60 million in Miami and was a legitimate sixth man of the year candidate last year because of what Eric Spoelstra and how he used it.
Yeah, we were always disappointed. Look, I like Coach Casey, but on that one topic, I was like, seriously,
a lot of people felt the same way that you do.
We can't get him on that lineup because it's been proven that I think that was a mistake.
Well, at the end of the day, I think the only mistake, and this is before the season started, the only real misstep that Masai Ujiri has ever made in the front office was signing DeMar Carroll from Atlanta, who was already damaged goods in the playoffs from the year before, to the contract he signed him for. He's trying to correct that wrong now, but I think it's a little bit too late for that. Other than that, like what he did with getting rid of Rudy Gay's contract, Andrea Bargnani's contract, bringing in a team and changing the culture here, hopefully forever, but changing the culture to a winning culture is a big deal. I wrote an article that spoke about what they should do in 2018. This is no disrespect to
Where are you
Coach
writing all
Casey.
these articles?
On Press Basketball, which is one of my sponsors as well.
Yeah, let's talk about that because people are going to say, you know,
you
when
can look at it on the back of my shirt.
there we go.
Right?
All right.
The Open Run, my column on Press Basketball. And I wrote this article about what the Raptors should look like in 2017, 2018. Again, no disrespect to Coach Casey, but sometimes you have a voice in the locker room for so long that sometimes you need a new voice. And that new voice is a booming voice. A guy who is the D-League Coach of the Year, Jerry Stackhouse, who's come up. I didn't realize how intensely he studies. And that's not something common for North Carolina players, but I mean, unless that's just me taking shots. But Jerry Stackhouse really studies. He's really in tune with what's going on, and the players love him. And so I'm like, okay, well, if they make the change, Jerry Stackhouse has earned that spot. And if Masai Ujiri wants to save money and stay under the salary cap, because I don't see the Maple Leaf Sports Entertainment paying the luxury tax for this team. They're not the Maple Leafs. They're not going to pay the luxury tax. Mm-hmm. That's just my impression. Mm-hmm. So I asked myself, Kyle Lowry, do I give him 5 years and $200 million, or do I let him walk? Masai Ujiri was masterful in getting these guys shorter contracts for half that money. Same thing with Serge Ibaka. I knew they were going to keep Ibaka. I thought that if I had to weigh keeping Kyle Lowry for 5 years and $200 million, or letting him walk and bringing another guy who can give you some offense and give you some stuff, and you're going to get like at least 2 good years out of him. The last 2 years of his contract, and Carmelo Anthony coming here, which to me would have been something that keeps them competitive, because now the Maple Leafs are starting to win.
Now, would Melo come?
He's a contending team in the East. He's not going to contend in the West unless he goes to a place like Houston or something like that. So why not look at that as an opportunity? It's a great city. You're 45 minutes on a private jet away from New York City if you want to be there in a minute. So there are some variables that made sense for Carmelo to come here. $54 million, 2 years left, and he's off your books, yeah. Right? Instead of giving Kyle 5 years, and you're going to get 2 good years out of him, and still be on the books for 3 years at $140 million plus, and not quality years. I leave that alone. But so you save almost $50 million by bringing in Carmelo. You let Corey Joseph and DeLon Wright run the point, and you still have Van Fleet, who's playing well in the summer league right now. Mm-hmm. He's looking like a guy who can help a ball club. Then you move Jonas to the bench. The reason why, he could beat up on second unit guys. He could be the Greg Monroe. He can be the Enes Kanter from OKC.
I'm not hating that. I'm not hating that at all.
If you're going to keep him here, he should not be starting. You make Serge Ibaka in the new league. Serge Ibaka ends up being your 5. Carmelo Anthony ends up being your 4. Norman Powell ends up being your 3. Corey starts to the point until DeLon is ready, because I feel like they want really DeLon to be the point guard of the future for this team. You still saw they moved Corey, so that's probably in the plans.
Yeah, futures now.
And then you have DeMar in the backcourt. Now on your bench, you needed shooting. Everyone talks about shooting, so you go out, you bring the prodigal son back to the city and let him retire as a Raptor, Vincent Lamar Carter. He just signed a 1-year, $8 million deal. You get him on the cheap. You let him retire here. You let him the redemption story. You keep the team interested. There's interest in the team if you bring him here because, again, the Maple Leafs are getting better. You bring Carmelo in, you bring him. And then C.J. Miles was on my list as well. You bring in a guy who shot 40% from 3 last year. So Vince shot 38% from 3 last year at 40 years old. On a bad team in Indiana, C.J. Miles shot 40%, and he shot enough of them to qualify as a great shooter from the 3. Now you're going to have a better team to play with. So you get those guys. You get Serge re-signed. You get Carmelo in here. You get Vince. You get C.J. Miles. Are you still competitive? Absolutely. Do you stay under the cap? Absolutely. So I'm waiting for my stripes, Masai. So
I was going to say, maybe there's some room for you in this organization.
I feel like there is.
Yeah. I mean,
that's just me, though. I'm an army of one.
What? Did we just become best friends?
Yep.